When you're applying side spin, should you use backhand English or fronthand English? What is the difference, when to use which one, many example shots and my personal advice, all of this in this video. When you're aiming along this straight line on the table and you're using right spin, the cue ball will deflect off the aiming line to the left. When you're hitting harder, the cue ball will deflect even more to the left. So when facing the straight-in shot and you're aiming the ball to the center of the pocket with right spin, you will miss the shot to the right. And this is because the cue ball deflects off the straight line to the left. In that case, you could use backhand English to adjust for the deflection. Just aim the ball to the center of the pocket with no spin, then move your back arm to the outside so that you're applying right spin. Now you have automatically adjusted for the deflection because your aiming line now points to the right, but the deflection pushes the cue ball back to the left. Very important here, the bridge length plays a huge role. If I'm too close to the cue ball and I'm applying backhand English, I will be way too much off the initial aiming line, so the pivot is greater than the deflection. If I'm too far away, however, the pivot will be smaller than the deflection. Keep in mind that a low deflection shaft like mine needs less pivot because there is less deflection to compensate for. This means my bridge length has to be a bit longer, and vice versa, when using a high deflection shaft, your bridge length might need to be a bit shorter. Now let's play the same shot with the same spin, just soft this time, and let's apply backhand English once again. Now we're actually missing the shot to the left, and this is because speed plays a huge role. With soft speed there will be less deflection because the cue ball will actually curve a tiny bit back to the right depending on your cue elevation, and there is also something called spin-induced throw. So that just means with backhand English the pivot to the right will just be too much this time. So instead of moving our back arm, we're just moving our bridge hand to the right, so we're using fronthand English. This means on slow roll shots, just move your bridge hand because otherwise the pivot will be too much. But the big question now is, what should you do on long range shots? Well, let's play this one hard with my house cue and let's use backhand English. So here, I know I have a lot of deflection, so I need a lot of pivot here. So I'm actually going to shorten my bridge length. I'm probably going to use that one, aiming straight. Now I'm adjusting with the backhand English. And this actually worked like charm. So let's do the same shot or play the same shot. Use my regular cue, my mass ignite shaft. And here you should know how I have to adjust. I have to actually widen my bridge length because I have less deflection. That way I need less pivot. So I think let's use this bridge length this time. Aiming straight, going over, and perfectly to the heart of the pocket. This is actually very well that this worked that way. So you can see with a lot of practice or a bit of practice and experience, this actually works really well. The big question, however, is what happens now if you're going to slow roll this shot or hitting a lot softer? So here you should already know that this time we have less deflection. We might have a bit of a curve to the right. So I won't actually use this short bridge length. I'm actually going to widen to have less pivot. So let's have this wider bridge length. Use backhand English. And now you see what happens. We're going to miss the shot to the left. So the problem here is when you're facing long distance shots and you're slow rolling it, you have the same problem as with short distance shots. You don't want to use backhand English. So instead you want to use fronthand English because you have less pivot that way. So let's use this bridge length again. Now I'm just going to move my bridge hand to the right and see what happens this time. And we actually made that ball. So the general rule is on long distance shot where you're hitting softer, you want to use fronthand English. And on short distance shots where you're hitting harder, you want to use backhand English. And the beauty about this whole backhand, fronthand English thing is that it works for any amount of spin you're putting onto the cue ball. So let's play this one with backhand English and just a tiny amount of right spin. So I'm going down, aiming straight to the ghost ball, just pivoting a bit over to add a tiny amount of right spin. And we have the ball into the heart of the pocket. And now I'm going to play the exact same shot. This means I'm going to play at the same speed. I'm going to use the same bridge length. I'm just going to use more right spin on the cue ball. And why does this work? Well, imagine you're adding more right spin to the cue ball. You will pivot more to the right, but at the same time, you will have more deflection. Both of those things cancel each other out, and you will still make that 13 ball into the heart of the pocket. So let's go down, same bridge length, same speed, aiming to the ghost ball point. Now I'm adding way more spin and still to the heart of the pocket, and you can see the difference in the cue ball. The only thing you have to be a bit careful of is when you're playing those shots with side spin, that you want to be as level as possible with the cue ball, because the problem is when you're playing spin and you're elevating your cue, the cue ball will also make a curve. So always make sure to be as level as possible. Let's play the shot one more time. So I'm going down using backhand English, but this time I'm elevating a bit more, as you can see. And that way I will miss the shot to the left because the cue ball will actually make a curve. But how do you practice all of those shots? It's very easy. Just set the same shot over and over up again. Just experiment with the backhand English, with the combination of both. Maybe if you're in between, you want to use a bit of backhand English, a bit of fronthand English. Like that. Depends a lot on the speed that you're playing the shot with. And that way you will actually learn. And this, by the way, doesn't only work on straight-in shots. Of course, this works with angled shots. You just want to aim to every time to the ghost ball point. How am I doing all of this? Well, to be honest, I had no idea what backhand English or fronthand English was, even when I started uploading videos on this channel, because the way I learned to aim with side spin is I knew about all the physics, and on every single shot that I played, I had a certain expectation. I played the shot, I analyzed what happened, and compared my expectation with the outcome, and that way I've learned to play with side spin. And nowadays, when I'm aiming with side spin, I don't go down, use backhand or fronthand English. I already go down with the spin that I want to add and already with the aiming adjustments, because I already know at what speed I'm going to hit, and I know all the physics that you should probably or definitely also know. I made a video about that, link is in the top right of your screen, and then I just go down with the spin, with the adjustments, and hopefully make the 6 now. Yeah, I made it luckily. Now you can choose your next lesson, or if you got value out of this video, I would highly appreciate a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you want to get more lessons on pool, subscribe to this channel and ring the bell notification to get notified once I'm uploading new content. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, see you at the next lesson. Take care.